Once upon a time there was a little boy called Silly Billy. Silly Billy stood proudly on the living room rug, which had been ceremoniously rolled up and shoved into the corner for dramatic effect. He wore his blue and white striped t-shirt, blue dungarees, and mismatched socks, left red, right blue, with shoes scuffed from yesterday's puddle patrol. His grin was cheeky, his eyes sparkled with mischief, and his stance suggested he'd just invented magic. Mum sat cross-legged on the sofa, sipping tea with a look that said, "I'm ready to be amazed," while Dad leaned against the doorway, arms folded, pencil behind ear, tea towel over shoulder, the official uniform of domestic disbelief. "Ladies and gentlefolk," Billy announced, voice wobbling with excitement. "Prepare yourselves for the most marvelous, most mysterious, most magical trick ever performed in this lounge." Sulky the cat blinked slowly from his perch on the windowsill, unimpressed. Gran peeked in from the kitchen, flour on her nose and a suspiciously empty biscuit tin in hand. Billy reached behind his back and pulled out a sock. Not just any sock. A sock with a hole in the toe and a spoon tucked inside. "I shall now make this spoon disappear," he declared. He shoved the sock into his dungarees pocket, gave it a wiggle, and pulled it out again. The spoon was still there. Mum clapped politely. Dad coughed into his tea towel. Gran whispered, "Well, he's certainly trying." Billy frowned. "That wasn't supposed to happen." "Bit premature," Dad muttered. "Happens to the best of us." Billy tried again. This time, he dropped the sock behind the sofa, shouted abracadaboodle, and pulled out a tea bag. "Wrong drawer," said Gran, winking. Sulky yawned. Billy's cheeks flushed. "Third time lucky," he mumbled, stuffing the tea bag into his sock and the sock into his pocket. He turned dramatically, tripped over his own foot, and landed bottom first on the rolled-up rug. "Tardier," he offered from the floor. Mum smiled. "You pulled something off, love." Dad chuckled. "Not the trick, but definitely the rug." Billy grinned. "Well, I did say it was going to be moving." Gran handed him a biscuit. "Magic takes practice." "And snacks." Sulky blinked again. Somewhere, a spoon remained defiantly visible. Silly Billy had transformed the garden into a magical arena of mystery. Mum's washing line now held a curtain made from Gran's old bedsheets, still faintly smelling of lavender and lemon drizzle cake, and Dad's tall bench had been repurposed as a magician's table, complete with a flower pot full of socks, a watering can labeled "Do Not Drink," and a suspiciously sticky deck of playing cards. Billy stood center stage, arms wide, eyes gleaming. "Welcome to the second act of my incredible illusion," he shouted to his audience, Mum in a deck chair, Dad pretending not to eat crisps, Gran knitting something that looked suspiciously like a chicken, and Sulky the cat curled up on the lawn with one eye open. "I shall now pull a rabbit out of this hat," Billy declared, holding up a floppy sun hat that once belonged to Grandad. He reached in, rummaged, and pulled out a carrot. "Close," said Dad. "Wrong end." Billy frowned. "It's a starter rabbit." Gran chuckled. "He's pulling our leg, not a rabbit." Billy tried again. This time, he pulled out a sock. Then another. Then a pair of underpants with Tuesday embroidered on the waistband. "Bit early for laundry," Mum murmured. Billy looked flustered. "I know there's something in here." He gave the hat a final shake, and out popped Jock the cockerel, feathers ruffled, eyes wide, and clearly unimpressed. "Oi!" Jock squawked. "I was having a nap." Billy gasped. "I pulled off a cock-a-doodle-doo." Dad nearly choked on his crisps. Gran dropped a stitch. Mum covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. Jock strutted across the lawn, puffed up and proud. "I'm not a rabbit, but I am magic. I lay eggs of chaos and crow at dawn, even if it's tea time." Billy bowed. Thank you. For my next trick, I shall make Jock disappear." Jock narrowed his eyes. "You wouldn't dare." Billy held up the hat again. Jock flapped his wings and flew straight into the washing line, knocking down the curtain and revealing Dad's underpants drying in full view. "Tardier!" Billy shouted. Dad groaned. Well, something disappeared, my dignity. Gran giggled. That's the real illusion, love. Sulky blinked. Somewhere, a carrot remained defiantly UN-rabbited. It was show and tell a day at Silly Billy's school, and Billy had come prepared, sort of. His rucksack bulged suspiciously, and his socks didn't match, on purpose this time. Miss Tiddle, the ever-patient teacher with a voice like warm custard, smiled as Billy marched to the front with theatrical flair. Today, Billy announced, I shall perform a magic trick so astonishing, so bewildering, it will make your pencils levitate with excitement. The class gasped. Miss Tiddle raised an eyebrow. Billy pulled out a show box labeled Top Secret, Do Not Open Unless You're Magical. Inside, a sock, a carrot, a tea bag, and Jock the cockerel, who looked mildly offended. You again? Jock muttered. Billy cleared his throat. I shall now make Jock disappear. Jock squawked. I'm not going back in that sock. Billy ignored him. Watch closely, everyone. No blinking. No sneezing. No sudden movements. Especially you, Alfie, last time you sneezed, we lost a hamster. He held up a towel, borrowed from Dad's shoulder, draped it over Jock, and whispered, Abracadaboodle. He whipped the towel away. Jock was still there. Now pecking the carrot. Tardier. Billy offered. Miss Tiddle smiled. Very visible. Billy frowned. I meant to make him vanish. You've made my patience vanish, Jock grumbled. Billy tried again. This time, he placed the towel over his own head, counted to 3, and shouted, Now I'm gone. The class giggled. Alfie clapped. Miss Tiddle said, We can still see your socks, Billy. Billy peeked out. Oh. Right. He tried one last time. He placed the towel over Jock, tapped it with a ruler, and whispered, Please disappear. Pretty please. Jock flapped, squawked, and flew straight into the ceiling tiles, dislodging a paper-make volcano and a poster of the digestive system. Tardier! Billy cried. Miss Tiddle sighed. Well, something erupted. Jock landed on the windowsill, feathers ruffled. I'm not disappearing. I'm tenured. Billy bowed. Thank you, thank you. For my final trick, I shall make homework disappear. The class cheered. Miss Tiddle raised both eyebrows. Nice try. Billy grinned. Worth a shot. Jock winked. You pulled it off, mate. Sort of. Sulky the cat, inexplicably present in the classroom, blinked. Somewhere, a digestive diagram remained defiantly mislabeled. The village hall was packed. Fairy lights twinkled, chairs squeaked, and the scent of Gran's lemon drizzle cake wafted through the air like a promise. Silly Billy stood backstage, peeking through the curtain. His dungarees were freshly washed, mostly, his socks mismatched with pride, and his grin was equal parts excitement and mild panic. Ready? Dad whispered, adjusting Billy's collar like he was prepping a roast. Billy nodded. This time, I'll really pull it off. Just don't pull the fire alarm, Mum added, handing him a biscuit for courage. Jock strutted past in a glittery bow tie. Break a leg, mate. But not mine, I've got dancing later. Billy stepped onto the stage. The spotlight hit him like a warm hug. He cleared his throat. Ladies and gentlefolk. For my final trick, I shall make something truly magical happen. No socks. No tea bags. No poultry. Sulky the cat blinked from the front row, unimpressed. Billy held up a box. Inside this box is nothing. But soon, it will be everything. He tapped the box. Nothing happened. He whispered, Abracadaboodle. Still nothing. He frowned. Third time lucky, he muttered, and tapped again. The box popped open, and out flew a flurry of paper butterflies, each one painted with scenes from Billy's previous tricks, the sock, the carrot, Jock in a hat, even Dad's underpants on the washing line. The audience gasped. Gran clapped so hard her spectacles slid down her nose. Mum beamed. Dad looked suspiciously misty-eyed. Billy bowed. I pulled it off. Jock crowed. You pulled us off, mate. In style. Sulky blinked. Somewhere, a butterfly landed on his head and stayed there. Billy grinned. Magic isn't about hiding things. It's about showing what's inside. The audience erupted in applause. Gran whispered, he's got the gift. Dad chuckled. And the socks to match. Billy looked out at the crowd, heart full. He'd tried, failed, tried again, and finally, he'd pulled it off. Eventually. And in that moment, with butterflies dancing and laughter ringing, it was clear the real magic was never in the trick. It was in the trying.